All right, it's time to talk some more about nomad income. Before we get into the video today, quick note, I tried to shoot it outside with a nice backdrop, and it's the desert and the wind is blowing. That's the reason I didn't shoot it yesterday, so this video is already late, so I don't dare to wait any longer getting it up because the wind just doesn't want to quit. So I got a new mic I'm planning on ordering pretty soon that'll help with that, but for now, you know, the wind's a challenge. So I'm shooting inside the van, which I know is not as scenic, but at least you should be able to hear me and not just the wind whipping across the microphones. So, all right, here we go. So as more and more people are looking to get on the road, they're becoming nomads, but they're not, in many cases, retirement age yet. They need to figure out how to earn a living or to earn income on the road, how to be self-supporting financially as a nomad. Now, some people are retired or on disability, but, you know, honestly, even a lot of people who are retired already still are finding it necessary these days to supplement their income through some extra work, either because their Social Security is not enough, maybe they never were able to amass an independent retirement account like a 401k or something, or maybe they had one and they got wiped out in the recession. I've known a lot of people that happened to. So for one reason or another, many people who are on the road or are thinking about getting on the road are trying to figure out how do they make a living on the road in order to make this a possibility. So freelancing is one option for how to do that, and for some people it can be a great option. For others, maybe not so much. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. The reason I'm starting off with freelancing in this series is because it's what I do to support myself on the road, and I have a lot of questions about what I do from different viewers. So that's why I'm starting off with this topic. So what is freelancing? Well, freelancing is kind of a hybrid, if you will. It's sort of like having a job, but also sort of like having your own business. Basically, as a freelancer, you're an independent contractor. You're not a W-2 employee of a company. You are self-employed and contracting with a company, one or multiple companies, to perform a service. So it's sort of like a job in that you may work for one company or a couple different companies on a part-time basis, and you do certain things for them, much like you would with a job, but you're self-employed. You don't have benefits. You don't have unemployment insurance if your contract ends or is terminated. You're self-employed. Of course, you can also deduct some things, income taxes that way, that you can't do as an employee too. So that goes both ways. But a freelancing gig may be full-time or part-time. It may be with one or more companies. It may be short-term or long-term. There's all kinds of variation in what it looks like. The IRS has some very specific criteria for what constitutes an independent contractor versus an employee. And that's worth looking at. If you have any questions, that'll help you understand that. But the bottom line is that you have to be, as an independent contractor, you're self-employed, and the company basically is not able to micromanage you or treat you like an employee. They have to treat you like an independent contractor, like another professional from another business, just like they would any other vendor that they're dealing with. And freelancing can be found in nearly any industry these days. It's becoming increasingly common. It makes sense for a lot of businesses to use freelancers because it allows them to scale up and down as necessary without having to commit to employees. It also saves them on payroll taxes and things like that. So a lot of businesses are using freelancers for various projects these days. Some of the things I've done as a freelancer include writing, photography, videography, coding, and web development. So there's a variety of things, and these are just a few that I've done. There are many, many more things that you can do as a freelancer. So why freelancing? Well, for one thing, it gives you more flexibility usually than you'll enjoy with a traditional job. And now some people get on the road only for financial reasons. They just have to. But for a lot of us get on the road because, at least in part, we want more flexibility. We want to be able to go places that we want to go when we want to go there. And a traditional job tends to tie you down. Where freelancing, because you work for yourself, it gives you more, in most cases, will give you more flexibility in terms of the hours you work, in terms of where you're working, in terms of the way you do your work. So in many cases, it will provide more flexibility than other job options. Another good reason to try freelancing is that it's the easiest way to get started with self-employment. Now, you can start a micro business. We'll talk about that in a later video. But generally, those kind of businesses take a while to build up, especially to full-time, where with freelancing, you can kind of hit the ground running. You can quickly be earning an income. So it's easier to get started making money and to make that money quickly with freelancing than with a lot of other options. And that can be important for a lot of people. So how do you get started with freelancing? Well, if you already have a job that you don't hate, the easiest thing to do is to consider whether your job can be done remotely. Or does it have to be done in the office or in on the shop or whatever? A lot of jobs these days can be done off-site. They can be done remotely, basically anywhere. So that would be the first thing to consider if you don't hate your job to start with. If you're not looking to make a change anyways, is can that happen? Because for a lot of people, what they're able to do is to, if their job can be done remotely, is they're able to switch from, either just switch from working on-site to working remotely, stay on as an employee, keep their benefits, everything else, or sometimes they can switch from being an employee to being a freelancer but still do the same kind of work and just keep the continuity there. So that can be an option for many people. So that's worth thinking about to start with. Another way is to look for industry job boards if you're not already familiar with the job boards in the industry you're thinking about working in. I know some ones I've used for writing, for example, but they tend to be pretty industry specific. So rather than me giving you a list of them that won't help you if you're trying to do a different kind of work, what I would recommend if you're not familiar with them to start with is do an internet search for freelance jobs or freelance gigs and the keyword for what it is you're trying to do. So if you were trying to find freelance writing work, do a search for freelance writing gigs or freelance writing jobs, and you'll see all kinds of things pop up. There's usually a few bigger ones in any industry, so you can check those out and go from there. But that's a good way to find centralized locations of listings for freelance gigs within a certain niche. Okay, one site that you may want to check out is FlexJobs. They're at flexjobs.com, and what FlexJobs does is they curate and verify freelance and remote job listings are legit. They're real companies. They weed out the spam, in other words, and then they put them on their site. I think it's $10 or $15 a month last time I checked. I have never actually subscribed to that site, but they do have some good stuff. It's just that the kind of work I was doing at the time when I looked at it, there wasn't a whole lot of listings for, I was seeing on their sample stuff related to what I did. So, but some of their jobs are remote, but you have to be in a certain town. Others are just freelance and you can be anywhere. So that might be worth checking out. And they have all manner of jobs, just about every category you can think of. So if nothing else, go check out their website. It'll give you some inspiration for the kind of things you can do as a freelancer, and you can browse some of the listings. You can't see the contact information, but you can see some of the listings to see what people are looking for or what companies are looking for freelancers or for remote employees. And then if you think there might be things interesting, you can always go ahead and subscribe. But that'll at least give you started with an idea of what to look for, what's out there. Another option is to use freelance job sites like Upwork or Guru or Thumbtack. I have not had great success with them myself, and I know a lot of people have had similar experiences to me, where it seems like it's a race to the bottom. You have companies posting things that they're not even serious about, or with terrible descriptions, and you just end up wasting a lot of time bidding on projects that are going nowhere. But some people have had some good success with it and are able to get started making some money with those kind of sites. So I don't want to discourage you from necessarily trying it, just know that a lot of people have had mixed results with these kind of sites. But it's something you can consider and look into. I'll put links to those in the description if you want to check them out more. Another great way to find freelance work is Craigslist. Craigslist will only allow you to search one city at a time, of course, but there are aggregator sites like Search Tempest is one that will allow you to search multiple Craigslist cities at once. So you can browse the jobs and just search for freelance or remote or something. And they also have a gigs section that's separate from the jobs listings. And a lot of the stuff in the gigs will be freelance or remote. So you know, standard warning when you're doing anything on Craigslist or any of these other databases. There's plenty of scams out there, so you know, do your due diligence before you send personal information, and don't be sending money to get a job, because that's not, you know, that's not a legit job if they want you to send money just to get the job. It's a scam, you can guarantee. So, but that is a way you can find freelance work, is through Craigslist. I've done it myself, actually, so you can definitely do that. And then finally, if you're serious about doing freelance work or even a micro business where you're providing a service, you will probably want to consider building your own website, building a social media presence, and for your brand, your professional brand, and using that to promote yourself. That is definitely something you'll want to do, but it's not going to help you too much in the short term for finding freelancing. But in the long term, as you're able to put you know, more information on there, and as you build it up and you do some work to promote yourself and build awareness, you can eventually find clients, or have clients find you through that. And if nothing else, when you do contact a client, you can send them to it to show them what you do for work. So that's worth thinking about as well. It's just, it'll take a while, to months to years really, to build that up to where you've got good authority and you're ranking in search engines to where people are finding you, or you're you know, ranking on social media to where you're actually easily discovered. So freelancing is kind of a hybrid option for you between a job and a business. You are self-employed, but you work with one or several clients, sort of like with a job, but you are self-employed. That's the key. And you have more control and more flexibility over what you're doing and how you're doing it and when you're doing it than you would with a job. So that makes it a good deal for many people. Freelancing is also the easiest way to get going if you're looking to work for yourself and get out of the job thing. You may want to still move towards a more of a business model where you're not trading hours for money, but you at least is an easy way to get started and to get money coming in quickly. And there are plenty of places to find freelance work. It's which one's best for you is going to depend on the industry and on the kind of skills you have, and so therefore I just can't give you that specific information because it just varies so much. Because a lot of the job boards are pretty specialized. So you'll find job boards, for example, that only list writing jobs, or only list programming jobs. So you need to find the ones that do some internet searches and find the ones that list the kind of work you want to do and you have skills that you can do, and you know, go from there. But freelancing can be a great way to get started and to be able to work more flexibly than with a regular job as you're on the road. So now freelancing can be a great option for some people, and like I say, it's definitely not going to be an option for everybody. I started with this topic because it's what I do, and a lot of people ask me about it. In the upcoming ones, we're going to talk about popular work camping jobs for nomads, some alternatives to popular work camping jobs for nomads, and we're going to talk about starting a micro business that can be done anywhere that's location independent. So we'll talk about those things and maybe a little more. If you got more questions about freelancing and this topic that I didn't address, feel free to leave questions in the comments, and I will try to get to those. And maybe if enough people have similar questions, do an updated video with just answering those questions. So meanwhile, hope this information was helpful to you if you're thinking about getting on the road and trying to figure out how you can make some money. Gives you something to think about at least. I'll throw some links in the description for stuff I mentioned here in the video that might help you get started and give you some inspiration, some ideas on what you might think about doing. But really, freelancing is a wide open field. It just depends on what your skills are and your interests. So I hope this is helpful to you. And, thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you in the next video.